What is your full name?
Ronald J. Hurwitz,
Where are you from?
Michigan,
And how old were you in 2009?
70 years old.
Now, I'm going to ask you some questions about the Great Recession of 2008. So, what do you recall about your financial life before the Great Recession?
Before the recession, it was good. I was retired. I've been retired for, 19 years. Yeah.
So, what did you think about yours and your society's spending habits at the time?
At the time, the spending habits, I thought the economy was doing very good, but the problem was it was overheated, and people were spending more and charging more, and banks were giving more loans, and everything was easy, probably too easy.
Were you overly worried about the health of the economy? Why or why not?
Well, I was, but I wasn't worried enough where I sold my assets and didn't get killed on it.
And had you experienced any economic hardships prior to 2007?
There's always been the occasional recessions, but this was, shall we say, a very big recession. Some people consider it a depression.
So now we're going to move to when the Great Recession actually takes place. So how did you discover that our nation was facing a severe economic situation?
Well, the stock market started going to the toilet.
And what were your first feelings or emotions after learning about the severe economic situation?
Nausea.
Did you experience any financial hardships during these times, and what were they?
Well, my assets were reduced by approximately a third, okay? And what that did was it stopped me from buying and purchasing, so I put everything on hold. I didn't make any major purchases. I was just trying to struggle along, hoping that it wouldn't wipe me out more than it did wipe me out.
Now, what happened to your extended family, friends, and or neighbors during the Great Recession, and how did this impact you?
Well, some of my friends had even more problems. Some more had more problems, some had less problems. It depends on the amount of assets they had, the type of assets they had. Certain things like real estate investments were really horrible. They went, and if you had a piece of property, let's say an apartment house or something that you were leasing out, it was difficult to get your people that were leasing your apartments or retail spaces to re-up on their leases. And if they did re-up on their leases, they wanted very, very good rates. So you couldn't get the same, income from your real estate that you got. And the same thing was with the stock market. The value of the stock market went down by a good, 40%. If you were 100% in the equity market, you were in bad shape. So wasn't good at all.
Now, what did you think of President George W. Bush and the Congress's reaction to the Great Recession?
Well, I don't think that he did quite as much as he should have. I don't think the actions were there and the reactions, and he sort of let it slide. Nothing was really done until Obama got in there. And Obama, I think, got us out of it.
What do you think that he did differently from George W. Bush?
Well, I think we had more government spending and injection of money into the economy. We were doing things. We were spending money. that's how you have to recover. You have to throw money into various projects, whether it be infrastructure or trying to get people back to work, encouraging industry to get people back to work. Just trying to inject money to get people to work, get people money.
Well, the bailout of the auto industry was a very criticized action. How do you feel about this?
I am not critical of it at all, okay, especially being a Michigander. It was, I think, the wise thing to do, and I think it's been proven since that time that it was a wise thing to do. We saved that particular industry, and that particular industry is now very strong, relatively speaking, compared to all the rest of the automobile industry, and I think it was a good investment.
Now, moving on to present day, what do you believe is our nation's greatest economic concern and why?
Well, the overheating of the economy. I think the stock market is a little bit rich right now. I think it's doing very good, which makes you think that there's going to be a drop in the stock market. The price earnings ratio is higher.
But negative Nancy.
No, I think there's potential problems out there.
And do you think that recessions or depressions can be prevented?
I think it's almost the natural kinds of things, peaks and valleys when you're talking about the economy. For the economy to run on a straight line, it just doesn't happen. It's my memory of the economy has always been the ups and the downs, and the ups and the downs, and the ups and the downs. And it's a very fragile thing, and I think it's very cyclic. Now, what causes it? I don't know if I'm smart enough to really figure out what caused it. The Federal Reserve tries to control it through interest rates. I think the banks have a certain amount of control of money also because of their lending practices, either easy lending or very difficult lending habits. And I think the banks made a lot of mistakes, a lot of mistakes. And I think we were giving out mortgages much more than we should have without the proper income levels for the people that are taking out the mortgages.
Don't you think everyone should have a home?
No, I don't think everybody should have a home, okay? I think sometimes you should be renting, okay? Then you save money up and then but everybody does not deserve to own a home. You have to work, save up your money, then you have a home.
Years later, how would you say the Great Recession changed you?
Well, I became very leery of the stock market, and it's not that I'm not invested in the stock market, because I am still invested in the stock market, but it left, scars. You don't like the pain of, especially now that I'm, 77 years old and retired, and I need that money.
And what do you think the lessons should be learned from the Great Recession are?
What the lessons should be learned? Oh, I think the banks were a big problem. Big problem. Mortgages were a big problem. I think that was the biggest problem. Then they had some other things that they were doing too, with buying and selling mortgages, and I don't remember what the term is for some of the actions that the financial community started using, which became almost like gambling, and it was unfair gambling, and that shouldn't be gambling. People that invest and want return on their investments don't want gambles. They want more of a steady type of growth.
And lastly, what would you want students to know about the economic crisis?
Watch out. Watch out. You got to be very fearful those type of things, and the cyclic nature of the economy. There'll be good times and there'll be bad times. But what you shouldn't do is you shouldn't be afraid to the point of scaring you out of the markets. One of the big problems was, as the markets were going down, people were selling. But they were selling at big losses, and you can't recoup those big losses. If they would have just kept the stock, nothing goes to nothing. The stock market never goes to nothing. It may lose 30, 40% of its value, but it's not going to lose 100% of its value. And I think, especially in the United States, we have a decent economy, and it will come back. You just have to be strong enough and have liquid enough to bide your time. Keep your job, work hard, and stay in it. Don't run for the hills.
Well, thank you for your time.
You're quite welcome.